So while I was recovering from my wisdom teeth surgery, again, we had the greatest sport of all time being played in the AFLW, and I got to enjoy that while I felt like death. I couldn't feel my face, but at least I got to watch Monique Conti absolutely dominate. Of course, my future wife doing her thing for the Richmond Football Club. But shortly after, we had now AFL Finals Week 1, and I was really interested to see how my tips and predictions were going to go. Was I going to be absolutely embarrassed online, or was my footy IQ actually going to come and help me and not touch me without consent? It turns out I did pretty well. I got 3 out of 4 right. The Geelong Port Adelaide game completely shocked me. I just think Port Adelaide, what happened? Like, genuinely one of the worst performances in finals I think we have ever seen. But now we have week 2 of finals, so I thought, wouldn't it be fun if I got into my tips and predictions for all of you guys, considering I had such a successful week last week. And we'll go back over this and we'll see how, of course, this all goes maybe next week or whatever. But for this week, we have the GWS Giants, and they will be taking on the Brisbane Lions. Of course, I believe it's at the Giants' home ground. The reality is, Brisbane, even though they dominated Carlton in the first quarter, they scored like 50 points or some shit, 60 points to nothing in literally the first half as well. There's still a massive issue with Brisbane's team, and it's covered all the time. Matthew Lloyd talks about it every single day of his life, and that is Brisbane Lions are like one of the most inaccurate goal kicking teams that we've ever seen in like the history of AFL, and it is legitimately getting so bad. They literally let Carlton back into the game at points again. They were never really going to come back. We all knew that, but they let Carlton get a decent scoreboard up, which could have been really bad for them. And Brisbane just kept missing in front of goal. You had Logan Morris, or whatever his name is, I forgot. I think that is what it is. Missing a directly in front, 10 meters out goal. And it was shocking. I forgot who it was, but someone missed directly in front as well. It might have been Zach Bailey, I think, missed directly in front. And then Calamachi finally kicked that goal. But I think you even had Charlie Cameron missing easy ones, and all of the above. And it's just something that has destroyed them now for so many years. And again, there's still many issues with this Brisbane team. Eric Hipwood, seriously, I mean, I don't know how he gets a game. Kane Corns talks about it all the time. He's just not a good player, right? He just isn't a good player. But then there's still so many positives, like their first quarter, they were absolutely dominant. But then we look at GWS, and realistically, they should have won that game against Sydney. It was so unlucky. Again, I was talking about it in my video, even though I tipped Sydney because I felt like they had to beat GWS eventually. They played out of their mind, and I really expected them to. And I just think in this game, I don't see how they lose this. Again, Brisbane would have to go on their most accurate streak that they have gone in a while. They can't be having Logan Morris miss fucking 1 meter out directly in front. They can't be having Eric Hipwood go out there and putting up his average of 3 disposals per game and 2 turnovers. They've got to be having the Brisbane Lions that has a Joe Danaher absolutely on fire, and Lachie Neale being the best player in the game. Ashcroft really just doing what Ashcroft does. I mean, he's a fantastic player. And the backline holding up, Zorko being so great this year. He's going to have the game of his life. They just need to have a lot of things, I think, to go right to beat GWS at home. I think GWS should get this done quite comfortably, and I'm pretty confident on that. But again, if Brisbane come out and they actually have a really good, accurate goal-kicking game, and Eric Hipwood doesn't play like an absolute spud, maybe they legitimately might be a chance. But for now, I think I'm going to go for GWS. I think they will be much too strong. Then we've got Port Adelaide versus Hawthorne. And I said it in the last video, I was so hype on Port Adelaide going into this final series. I actually felt like it was going to be one of the first times Port Adelaide could legitimately ever do well in the finals under Ken Hinkley. Again, they always make the prelim and just lose, but I felt like this is the year they could get to the grand final and potentially win it all. Again, at one stage, I had them winning it all on my grand final predictor before I changed some things up in that video. But at this time, they got smashed last week. But obviously, Hawthorne from top to bottom were absolutely superb. They were absolutely fantastic. Their back line is crazy. Hawthorne looked absolutely crazy. I mean, the play that Hawthorne had was insane. That Keisha Deer guy is absolutely crazy. Again, my mum was watching Hawthorne for like the first time this season with me, and she was in love with this bloke. She's like, why can't Richmond have someone like this? And I was just sitting there like, Mum, hopefully we fucking get someone like that in this draft, or I'm going to rip my eyes out because I don't know how much more of Thompson Dow I can deal with. I know they lose Sam Frost this week, which I think does suck. I think this game will be a lot closer. I still have hope and faith that Port Adelaide can come out and be what I thought they were going to be before the finals and make this an interesting game. But again, as we saw, they were not able to deal with the pressure last week of Geelong. Geelong's pressure was probably the best I've seen it in a long time. And Port Adelaide, who I usually think is a decent pressure team when they are on, were just in that mental state that they were not on. The leaders didn't really do anything or hold up for Port Adelaide. And unfortunately for them, it just crumbled, which was really sad to see for me because I thought they could really do something this final series. Again, I think they will be a lot more competitive this game, and I think they will really come out and prove that they were what I said they would be. But I still think Hawthorne are actually going to get the job done at this one, unfortunately. Again, for them, not unfortunately for Hawthorne though, they are obviously last week by far the best pressure team I think in the game right now. They really remind me of the 2017 Richmond Football Club. You can tell they took a lot of their game style and really converted it over as well. You got Chol playing that revolt role, Keisha Deer playing that caddy / Townsend role, and then you've got all of the small forwards like Dan Butler, Jason Castagna, Rioli, Kane Lambert when he played down there. And you've got them at Hawthorne in Dylan Moore, Jack Ginnivan, the Wizard. Again, the pressure is absolutely insane. Watching the Dogs get harassed on TV, I was fucking sitting back and I was like, shit, I don't want to get tackled by this 5'5" fucking Nick Watson dude who looks like he will absolutely touch you up without consent. I don't want to be a part of that. And I felt like I was out there, and I wasn't. I was sitting on my couch eating fucking KFC or some shit in pain with my wisdom teeth. Again, I think Hawthorne are going to get this done relatively okay, but I think this game could be very close. I think Port Adelaide will come out absolutely desperate to prove that they are what I said they were and not some absolutely bum team that gets destroyed by pressure. Again, I expect people like Zach Butters and whatnot to come out and play a lot better. And again, because it's their home ground, I still think they are a massive chance, especially if they get their mental state right and just don't do what they did last week. I still think they're semi a chance, but realistically, the reason they lost last week was because of pressure. And Geelong are usually like an average pressure team, I think. And now you're playing the best pressure team in the league by far. Yeah, this spells danger for me. I think they do lose this game to the Hawks, and Hawk Bowl progresses to the prelim. And I think obviously the Giants, they should beat the Lions quite comfortably. But of course, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below, all of your tips and predictions and whatnot for this week of AFL. I'd very much like to hear all your thoughts and opinions. Don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel, MLIRL/flowing channels. Links for them will all be in the description down below. And I guess I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.